Hey, welcome to Victims and Villains, a channel where we discuss mental health through pop culture. My name is Captain Nostalgia, and we're going to be taking the time to sit down over the next couple of weeks with our winners of our screenwriting competition for this year's Horrific Hope Film Festival. All links and links to sponsors are going to be in the show notes below. But the gentleman that I'm joined by with today not only had a not only won top place of our feature film writing competition, but also happened to have a short film that was also in our uh, lineup this year as well. So crazy twofer deal. And so we're joined to this. I am joined right now by the writer. The film is called Parasomnia. He is the writer behind this one and the writer director behind our the short film Sloppy Seconds, Mr. Ryan Shovey.
Hey, I'm here.
And we are also joined by Sloppy Seconds co-writer and as well as star, I guess, producer also. Triple
Producer
threat.
and yeah.
Triple threat. Traycee King, how are you doing today?
Yes, I'm good. How are you doing?
It's Wednesday. It's good. I hear a
It's
cat, so that
That's
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
yeah, ironically enough. All right.
Thanks for having us on here, Josh. This is really cool to chat.
Yeah, I absolutely loved Sloppy Seconds. I thought that it was such a fun short with such a great twist ending. I don't want to talk about the twist ending for those that haven't seen it yet. This film is still making its festival rounds. But Ryan tells me, Traycee, that a small portion or all of this is actually like your story.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm just going to adjust this really quick so that you can see me better. So Sloppy Seconds is actually based off of how I felt about a situation that was happening with my then husband and a makeup artist in Hollywood.
All right. I don't really know how to react to that because there's a lot that ends up actually in this short film that like dives into some like psychological territories, but like also some cannibalism. I can't really.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
not quite giving away anything, but it's like also just kind of teasing it.
Yeah, that was it was really funny, like the whole Dahmer thing that happens, the whole cannibalism thing, the discussion that's come up, kind of that was that was just a coincidence. I just felt it like, I found some messages of his between him and her, and I thought, well, if she's that great, you can have her, literally. So that was kind of the joke I was going for. So cannibalism just, and it's in, and the thing is Ryan mentioned in before that he's a huge Tales from the Crypt fan. I am also a huge Tales from the Crypt fan, and I know there was a Tales from the Crypt episode that had cannibalism in it, and it was one of my favorites. It was with Christopher Reeves, so that was also kind of a little bit of a nod.
I did not actually know that. Now I know I have homework after this interview.
Yes, you got to
That's
go watch.
that's so cool. Like I guess like for me watching this I also experienced infidelity as well and it like really messed with my mental health and like really
Yeah.
sent me down some like dark but like also like really enlightening paths later on in life and I'm taken back by the fact that I feel like this could have just been like a crazy story that a writer like threw up but like to know that you have like something as uh, dangerous to your mental health as infidelity because you go through for those that have never gone through it you question
Mhm.
your value as an individual and then to
Right.
kind of turn it into something that is as crazy and as humorous as Sloppy Seconds is really commendable.
Yeah.
um can you kind of talk about the healing process and kind of how you turn that into the more
Sure.
lightheartedness of what we see in this movie?
Sure. Actually, when I hooked back up with Ryan, we were actually neighbors. And we had coffee one day, and we were talking about, oh, I'm so sorry. We were talking about this. We were talking about this idea for sloppy seconds. And during that time, I was going through, well, I was doing my shadow work. That is also something I think people should look up. It's very important. It's basically, I realized all the times that I was the villain in my life. And it kind of gave me perspective, and was able to, like, I was able to also look at other people and empathize, like, I guess on a better, I guess on a like, I guess just on a better, like on a better ground, I guess you could say. Like, it was just a lot of empathizing, a lot of shadow work, a lot of deep inner work. And then when I talked to Ryan about it, and we just, we both came up with this idea, and the healing part of it while filming was actually really cathartic. And because you can't do that in real life. So I actually, as far as mental health goes, it's just as good as smashing plates. Just get some friends together, throw blood on each other, and film it. You'll feel really good afterwards, I promise.
So there's an Easter egg in this movie of Ryan's, an older film of Ryan's, to where the one of the characters is like watching it, is actually your husband Philip watching it, and he's like eating dinner, and he's like, yeah, it's a great movie. Ryan, my question for you is, like, out of all the films that you've made, like, what was it special about this one that had to be an Easter egg?
I would say it's okay, so that's Zeke's Bad Day. That is a very personal movie. It ended up being the first one I made. That was me basically bearing my heart onto a script for the first time, and putting myself kind of on screen. So and that movie is about a guy who just feels out of place and alone in the world, and doesn't think anybody likes him. And as soon as he finds out somebody does, he gets killed and comes back as a zombie and shows up at her birthday party. Um, so so like the love doesn't die or whatever. He won't let it die. So I think, like, visually it was fun because it's like it was fun to show in sloppy seconds, because it's a bunch of zombies eating people and stuff. So there's that, I guess, kind of subtext going on. But also it's there's a moment in that story where there's the lead actress finds out that he did something against the main star, Zeke, and like he basically bullied him to not show up at his party or whatever, and she stands up to him. And I think it's interesting that Janet would be watching something like that, like a woman who's standing up to a bully, right. while she's doing all this crazy stuff in the background. Like, that's her cathartic moment.
Well, she felt like she was being bullied. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what was
so I guess that was the kind of deep meanings behind it. I thought visually and stuff, it would be really fun if they're watching a cheesy zombie flick, and I just so happen to have a cheesy zombie flick, so there we go.
It did, like, I watched this a couple of times, and I sat in to watch it with the audience at the film festival, and people of course laughed and had a great time with it. And but it was like, then at that point I was like, I wonder if like this is actually like one of Ryan's like other movies. And then, like, sure enough, in the credits, Zeke's Bad Day.
Yeah.
Like, oh, small world,
Yeah, you can go. In fact, I'm in it. The moment where Philip says, "Oh, good movie," that's me in Zeke's Bad Day.
On the screen
at the party. Yeah, on the screen. I do like a magic trick to trick the girl into giving me a kiss at the college party, that was my girlfriend at the time, back like 15 some years ago. So just a cheesy cameo, I guess, but cameo for 2 movies, price of 2. It was great.
My last question for you, Traycee, on the subject of sloppy seconds before we start talking about parasomnia is the very last shot that we get in this movie of Janet's character basically being like kind of the big reveal, I guess, is not the last shot, but the big reveal. Is that kind of what you envisioned in terms of like the vengeance, in terms of like true life kind of therapy?
You mean like the last shot, as in not the one? You
Not
mean you mean the fun one?
the big
The,
reveal,
the
yeah.
bloody
Oh,
stuff. The bloody stuff.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's so hard to
oh
talk about without
no,
spoilers.
no. See, in my fantasy, there would have been dancing, howling at the moonlight. I mean that stuff might have happened in real life. In the movie, we just, we didn't want to disturb the neighbors.
Sure.
It's like you're still, movie magic. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. No, no, it was awesome. It was everything I dreamed it would be. It was Ryan did a really good job putting it together. Ashley was amazing. She's our makeup artist. She special effects. She did everything, made everything exactly how we explained we wanted it to look. It turned out better than I thought it was going to turn out. Yeah, it was awesome.
That is that's awesome, and I was so happy to have it within our lineup this year. And our editor in chief was actually in charge of all of the scripts this year in terms of features, and he raved for months about Parasomnia. Ultimately, now Parasomnia has taken our top place. I read it yesterday in preparation for this interview. Um, I absolutely love how different this is than Sloppy Seconds because I feel like it's really easy for artists to kind of just stick to one genre, but horror is kind of this giant playground where you can do so many different things, tell so many different
For sure.
stories. And Parasomnia is it's like this like it's a twist on like the classic ghost story, but it's got like those elements of the slasher in there. Can you kind of talk about obviously people are watching this, I haven't read it yet. Unless you just happen to know the title from like other film festivals and you came here for anyways. Tell me a little, can you tell us a little bit about the basic gist of this story?
Yeah, so the gist of the story, I guess, would be it's about a woman who feels essentially crippled by her loneliness because she feels like her ailment um, keeps everybody away, so she has to kind of harden herself. And her ailment in this case is suffering from night terrors, to where she wakes up in the middle of the night and can't keep anybody in bed with her because she scares them away with her feelings of ghosts and stuff, and she's dealt with it all her life, to where her mom is a medical doctor and thinks it's all in her head, and just she just realizes that if she doesn't do something to move forward in her life, then she'll remain essentially mentally crippled, I guess, or emotionally crippled. So what she ends up doing is deciding to go on a date, um, through a dating app, which she thinks is also dumb. And then I guess the rest of the movie is her realizing that is probably the worst date because it was a serial killer. And now she's a ghost and she has to harness all these ghost things that she's learned in her dreams all her life to kind of overcome and help all these other ghosts that have also been trapped by this serial killer, and realize what her true potential has always been, which was a very empathetic, heroic, kind of dark angel to help people with the same ailment.
This is one of the most layered scripts that I've read in a while. Um, this movie, if I had to like put it into perspective for viewers, this would be like if The Conjuring and American Psycho had a child. This is kind of what it would be.
Those are
Oh,
good.
And
Yeah.
I,
yeah.
I'm curious if you can kind of talk like what was the process like for like understanding uh the 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 actual like medical condition of like people with night terrors and kind of the challenges that they have because I don't know if you did like
Sure.
research, but like I really felt like there was like a level of like authenticity to the way that the character of Jane was written.
Well, thank you. That's incredible to hear. I the research came from essentially like I've dealt with that stuff my life myself throughout my whole life. I had moments I know as a child where I would wake up and I would feel paralyzed and realize I wasn't actually awake and couldn't tell what was going on. All the way into adulthood, I lived in New Orleans for a while, and that happened a lot when I was in New Orleans. Um, and just a feeling of uneasiness and like something was sitting on my chest, as a lot of people like to describe, where you just cannot move and you're paralyzed with fear or whatever. So a lot of what I wrote that Jane experiences are things that uh, I feel like I personally experienced, and I basically just gave them to Jane. And then I went through and started to do some research on the actual the condition that people go through, which very much is uh, linked with lack of sleep, linked with um, feeling like you're not doing enough in your life, like you're not moving forward, uh, uh, kind of the feeling of that you're not good enough in some way or another. It's all these fears that we have in life that just seep into our subconscious and basically trap us when we completely let go, which is when we're dreaming. And so it just happened to all really tie together. Like I think I took some of the things that Jane actually says, where she explains the night terror, nightmare disorder symptoms and stuff. I think I just grabbed them directly from like sleep condition websites where doctors have posted about it and stuff like that. So it became really, really interesting to me. But I can say I haven't experienced it since writing that script. So for whatever reason, I kind of, yeah, I kind of dove in and dealt with my demons, I guess. And since writing that script, I haven't experienced any kind of night terrors like that.
What's crazy to me in hearing that is that there is this crossover between the creative process of Sloppy Seconds and Parasomnia, and it really speaks volumes to something like writing or filmmaking or making music or poetry or whatever your creative outlet is. When you are undergoing things that are toxic or that are not bringing the best uh, push for your own mental health, of really like sitting down to kind of be creative and find a creative outlet that's going to work for you. And both of your guys'
Sure,
case, it's storytelling, it's filmmaking, and I love, really love that. And I love how there's this underlining theme in both projects about understanding your value and your potential. Because like I was talking to Traycee, like having been someone that has been cheated on before, like you really start to kind of question your own worth, and that's definitely something that you can see throughout Jane's character journey, um, in this as well.
yeah, I think that's really great insight, and I'm glad that you picked up on that, because there is this feeling of just I'm not good enough, and I thought it was important in the script to in Parasomnia to give that emotional antagonist, I guess, to Jane's mother. Is the one that's saying it's all in your head. I don't have time to deal with this, all that stuff, because that I can. That's a 100% relatable for my life, my relationship with my mother, and to have that feeling of growing up of thinking that you're just the nuisance, that you're just kind of in the way because you're dealing with your issues and you're talking about it when everybody else is just trying to get their day done, makes us bottle it up inside. And I felt that was important to explore inside of this character and really have empathy for this character to overcome that in a way. And I guess me writing, that script was a way of me overcoming it as well, because it is really important to recognize. In fact, I did therapy. I had a therapist for several years, and we talked about having to learn to parent myself and to recognize that my parents were wrong, and to overcome that. So I had to put that into Jane as well. And I think the same can be said about, with Sloppy Seconds, to overcome that pain of, to be able to stand up and fight back and to own yourself and own your own strength. I think it's really cool that you picked up on that.
Yeah, I feel like you never really know how bad you're going through until you see it reflected in media that you're either consuming or writing. It's
Mm.
where you're like, maybe I should like go talk to someone about this. And I just think
Yeah.
it's really cool that you guys have found an outlet like this. So, Sloppy Seconds is still making its way around the festival circuit. Parasomnia is also making its way around the screenwriting competition circuit. This is the big question. How soon are we likely to see Parasomnia as a feature?
Wow. There's been several cases where it almost went into low budget productions in a couple different instances. We're still working towards that in different ways. Um, uh, Getting first place at this competition has actually helped spark that conversation even more. But I don't have an answer as of right now, unfortunately. The thing called money that we need, apparently.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day you guys will see it as a part of our future lineups here for Horrific Hope.
Of
Traycee,
course.
Ryan, thank you guys so much. Where can people follow you guys online?
I'm I am only on Instagram under Traycee King, TrayceeKing.
And I'm on both Twitter and Instagram for now. But experimenting all the other ones. On Twitter, I'm at Creepy Fool Pics, and on Instagram I'm at RD Shovey, Shovey.
All right. Well, you guys can find all of those links in the descriptions below. Make sure that you guys go check them out. Follow these guys because they make cool movies. And if you guys are like me and like DIY horror, go support independent horror because if you follow this channel, there will be lots more independent coming. And we can't wait for future years to see what you guys do next. So until next time, stay classy.